Often, I think that people will assume if it's just a tiny bit, it really shouldn't make that big of a difference, as if the quantity of the food would be the deciding factor on how much it impacts our health. So I'm going to share a story of a trivial amount of plant matter and how that affected my gut microbiome. The microbes in our gut interact with our food and interact with our body through manufacturing neurotransmitter chemicals. That seems like it would be important and relevant for health, so I'm going to talk about it today. The gut microbiome is a topic that's received more attention for research in the last handful of years than it's gotten in all the centuries before. I'm one of the 10% of carnivores who have nighttime muscle cramps, and I took it as electrolytes. I've been doing not just the Redmond salt, but I'm also doing a magnesium and doing potassium. I watched a YouTube video where someone talked about boron, a supplement that may help with those nighttime muscle cramping. I was so interested in solving that and finding out if boron was the answer. Dumped it into the water, stirred it up, and as I'm looking at the bottle of boron, wow, I did not realize what was in the bottle when I bought it. I am going to grab that bottle of boron and I will read to you what was contained. Here it is. Rice flour, vegetable cellulose capsule, organic alfalfa, cellulose, parsley leaf, kelp, rice bran extract, and silica. This is the size of capsule. It's a very small amount, fits inside of 1/8 of a teaspoon. That's the amount of plant matter that I had in one day. And I thought, this is such a small amount of vegetable matter, mostly leaves and twigs, and it's a tiny little bit. What's the big deal? In an attempt to go ahead and test out the boron, I ate what was in that capsule. Went ahead and drank it down. And the very next morning, the diarrhea, the color greenish tan, it was like, whoa, this is kind of like what was going on with that lemon ginger tea, which had been a long time before that. And I thought, man, it's almost like a similar type of microbe that's growing. The color would not have been from alfalfa leaves and kelp leaves. The color being from the change in the microbiome is my understanding of it. My decision was, if I give it 5 days, that'll tell me that the muscle cramps will stop. So I took one capsule's worth, poured it into a glass of water, threw out the capsule, stirred it up, drank it, and dealt with the diarrhea. At the end of the 5 days, as I took that 5th day, the capsule, I was like, man, if there's not improvement in the muscle cramps by tomorrow, I'm done with this. And I had seen no progress over those 4 days so far. And so even on the 5th day, I was like, man, this is going to be the last day of doing this boron supplement thing because of the diarrhea. I quit after 5 capsules over 5 days. That tiny little capsule of alfalfa powder and kelp and kale and whatever else, those leaves and twigs, upset the balance of microbiome. My understanding is that the fibrous material is food for specific microbes. And when that plant matter hit the digestive tract, encapsulated microbes, the bacteria cells, will burrow into the intestinal wall and wait until their preferred food source is restored. For the microbes that were brought back into abundance by taking those capsules of plant matter, that let me know that what caused the change was not the fiber itself somehow making its way through the colon, and the fiber in that 1/8 of a teaspoon somehow changed poop quality dramatically and created like a diarrhea. The tan green color there was not enough quantity of material for that change to have happened. This whole conversation has been about microbiome and how I'm not just eating to feed my body energy, but I'm also eating to feed my healthy microbiome and maintain its healthy balance. Microbiome may be one of the deciding factors that tell us whether the human body is intended to run as carbohydrate adapted or to run as fat adapted. And this is why in the microbiome of a plant-eating animal, a ruminant animal that has multiple levels of digestion, those animals eat cellulose, they eat fiber, and it's digested by the microbiome and broken down so that the animal is absorbing fatty acids. A ruminant animal does not digest fiber and cellulose down into sugars. It's digested by the microbiome into fatty acids. That may be one of the clues to let us know whether we are intended to be adapted to carbohydrates or whether we're intended to be adapted to fats. Fat adapted allows the body to use energy from the last meal until the fats from the last meal drop in the bloodstream, and when those fat levels are low, then the body can draw from stored fat energy and use that as available fuel because the body is in the biochemistry of fat adaptation. If a person's in carbohydrate adapted state, running on sugars from the last meal, there are two factors going on. First, insulin is driving down the blood sugar level to keep the blood sugar from damaging endothelial cells because elevated blood sugar is damaging. Diabetics experience the problems and the repercussions of high blood sugar, which include tons of circulation problems. There is a lengthy list of problems that diabetics experience with elevated blood sugars. So the body is working with insulin to drive down blood sugar levels. And if that's the source of energy that a human is using, that means that they will need additional carbohydrate input. They will need energy from the next meal to bridge the energy drop from the last meal, because fat adaptation does not change in an hour. It does not change in a day. And there is a process of time. There is a decision the body makes, whether it is running fat adapted or carbohydrate adapted. Because of the lag in time, there is a decision to be made for each individual to decide if they're going to be fat adapted or carbohydrate adapted. Because of its effect on the microbiome, and that's the topic of today's video, my decision is for myself to eat fat adapted, as that allows for me to have the healthiest microbiome with the least amount of cravings and the most consistent energy levels. Leave your thoughts in the comments below if you've had an experience with switching from carb adaptation to fat adaptation and what your experience is. Thank you for joining on this video. Go ahead and hit a like or subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.